What's up, guys? You're watching Poot's Garage. This week, I ain't got squat for ya. Hey yo, this video may suck, but what doesn't suck is you guys. But we're at the map and we gotta get some pins on this thing. So what we do every week is you guys let me know where you're watching from and I'll throw a red pin on the map. I wanna cover these maps solid red. So this week we got 10 locations. So first on the list is Pine River, Minnesota. We finally got our first Indiana with Muncie, Indiana. Then Redding, California, Kinsman, Ohio, East Tennessee, El Paso, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Quincy, Washington, Ardmore, Alabama, and last, it always surprises me when we get the foreign ones, but we got one from Hungary. Now I don't know how to pronounce this. According to Google, it's pronounced Goons, but it looks like Koseg to me. So here's to Goons, Hungary. And that's it for this week. Good job calling them out. Keep representing your city, your state, your country, your county, whatever you want to call out. Figured I better make a little video on this before I throw it back in the vehicle. We need to have something going on here. So this is the parking brake pedal assembly out of the truck. It's never worked since I had it. The pedal just kind of swung freely. It had resistance from the cable and the spring there, but it never actually locked in place or anything. So I pulled it out to try and finally fix this thing. And this is what I found. So it was real simple. It was just this lever right here was actually frozen in place right there. It was just rusted and that spring is just not strong enough to overcome the rust. So now I've got it all cleaned up. I've got it good to go. It works as it should now, so now I'm just gonna throw it back in the truck. I can't show you nothing on there because it's so crammed in there and it's just not worth making a video, so I'll show it to you when it's done. And we got a functioning parking brake pedal. Check that out. Works like a charm. Now all I need is to connect cables from the end of that to the rear wheels, and we'll have a full functioning parking brake. But we'll have to wait until we order those. And the other thing we're working on is I was actually getting these parking brake levers and stuff put on, so I had to put this bracket on, I put this lever on the caliper. It's all torqued down and I was kind of playing with the adjustment. I think they're basically adjusted as they're supposed to be. I'm at this point where I need cables now because the cables that are on this truck won't work. The reason they don't work is because this is actually the stock style parking brake cable that comes through the drum here, and it's actually bolted in place. It has this big goofy bracket, it's bolted in. This style does not work with that kit that I have. So I have to get, I think it's a later style, like an 86 or something, parking brake setup, or I can get a universal set that the company actually sells. Lugnut 4x4 actually sells, I think it's a low car kit or something like that. So we're gonna have to do a little shopping to get that going. And I always kept these cables hanging underneath it, but I never realized I can't even use them because these actually only go back to, oh, about here on the frame or so, somewhere up in here. And then they have another cable that actually goes back and bolts to those drums that I just showed you. So I'm pretty sure I have to redo all of this, and then, but I haven't looked into it much yet, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, one positive thing today is I'm actually working during the day. As you can see, it's daylight out. It's not the best weather. It's actually pretty chilly. I think it's like 48 degrees out here, so. But it's just nice to be out in the daylight and doing some stuff, you know, kind of dinking around the yard here and there, and then actually working in the garage a little bit. But it is cold. 48 degrees, and yeah. We actually don't have much sun out. It's actually overcast, which is a little odd for Nevada. See, I come outside once in a while. So the reason I don't really have much going on this weekend is because I just don't have any parts. We're all out of stuff to do. That's why I'm just kind of dinking around on little things here, things that I really don't care to make videos on. I'm trying to keep things interesting, but here we are making a video about nothing anyways, so I gotta show you something at least. But as this projects get towards the finish line like this, you kind of gotta accept that, or expect that things are gonna slow down, or you gotta get through some boring stuff here and there. But I did make a big purchase, and I ordered tires. I ordered tires for this thing, so we got the 40s coming. So I am excited. I'm really excited. It's the biggest tire I've ever bought, most expensive too. So They're not gonna be here till next week, so I don't have anything to do with that this week. So next weekend, you'll probably see me mounting them up on those bead locks and actually getting this thing sitting on the ground, and we'll really see how it's gonna be. And because I ordered those, I really maxed out like my debit card, you know, weekly limit or whatever. So I'm like not spending any money whatsoever. There's a few things I need to purchase, you know, to get ready for all this stuff, but I just can't. I don't want to run my card out any more than it already is right now, so I'm gonna let this purchase marinate in the bank account a little bit because it sucks. It is way too much. But yeah, I got a lot of little things. I got a whole shopping list full and, you know, my Amazon cart, and I got things I could have ran to town or ran in town just to get like some wire and different things like that, but we're just not doing it this weekend, so we're gonna have to wait. One thing that I did install this weekend though that was not really related to the square body, we're actually in the Ram today, is I actually bought a new dash cam. So recently I told you I had this other cheap dash cam that died on me, and it was probably due to the cold weather. It seems to kill a lot of them, I guess. So I bought another one, different brand. So we picked up this little Van True unit. It's another Amazon buy. It wasn't extremely expensive, but you know, I'll just show you what it looks like when it runs. It's got little headlights, come on, and it's got a little camera. All right, it should probably be better than the one I had in here before, just because it's newer technology and different things like that. But it's the little things, you know, that keep you going on the weekend. And while I was running the wires all through this thing to wire in that dash cam so it doesn't look ugly, I started wiring something else in too that I've never done. So I got a little switch mounted down here. That was pretty easy. Pop the panel off, drill a hole, slap the switch in. So I got wires ran through the firewall and coming up here. It's kind of hard to tell because the lighting is horrible out here, but we're wired into the battery here with another set that was already ran. No fuse yet. So what these are is these are actually the lights that go on the headache rack on the bed. So I don't know how much you can see out here because it's so bright right now. The sun just popped out, but these two lights up on the headache rack I've never had working. I'm finally running the wires, but that wiring harness that I started running that was pre-made with the switch and the relays and the fuse and all that stuff was too short, so I got to order some more wire and extend the cables from these lights down. I got to add about probably 4, 5, 6 feet or so. So not too bad, easy job. All I gotta do is just splice them in. So sorry if this video is a little about nothing, but a little about everything. You know, I'm just all over the place this weekend. Nothing is really one big idea to make a video out of. You know, I got nothing big, so we're just all over the place this weekend, and I gotta keep putting videos up. You know, I gotta put these boring videos out every once in a while too, just because I gotta keep the consistency going for YouTube. I have to do this weekly upload no matter what type of thing. So if you see me put out videos like this, it's not that I'm trying to bore you or do anything like that. It's just that I'm trying to keep the YouTube thing going and keep everything rolling. So do me a favor, when there's boring videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't write me off, you know, just wait. We got more exciting stuff to come. We're working hard on this though. This is actually a list that I keep in the garage of things that I need to buy or things that I need to do and whatnot, so you so I don't forget, you know. There's a few things that, like, this side is kind of things I need to buy. I need to buy cabinets for the shop here. I need to buy a sink for the garage here. I need to buy lug nuts for this truck still. I need to buy drive shafts still. That's one of the last big expenses. We'll get to that in a minute here. 14 gauge wire, that was just a note I wrote down there so I don't forget. And then this is stuff that I actually need to work on. So by work on, it's like I got stuff in here, I need to figure out something or actually finish something. So one is my high steer clearance. I'll show you that in a minute. That's kind of an issue right now that I think I'm gonna end up having to lose my high steer. I still gotta mount front shocks, but we're waiting to kind of flex things out a little bit before I put those in. I gotta figure out bump stops. I don't know what I'm doing yet for that. We gotta trim the heck out of the fenders because these tires are huge and we didn't put much lift on it. My right rear hub is leaking. Thanks, Adam. You jinxed me on that one. So I gotta pull that back apart, put a new seal in there. That's the side that I actually had to remove the seal kind of brutally and put back in. It's leaking now, so I gotta just replace it. And then this T-case, my transfer case has a leak. I don't know if you saw that in the last couple videos, I think, or last video. Front output shaft on the seal is leaking for some reason. I don't know why. It just started draining out on its own like that, but we gotta replace that, so hopefully it's not too big of a job. And then I gotta figure out my parking brakes, which we're slowly working on. So most of what we just talked about is pretty self-explanatory, you know, shocks and stuff like that. But the one thing that I haven't really talked much about yet that I'm gonna have to figure out is this high steer clearance. I have an issue going on here. Let me show you. So when I first put the steering together, I was worried that the drag link and the tie rod were gonna contact each other. Well, those aren't gonna contact each other anymore, so I'm not worried about that. But the problem I have now is that the end link where the pitman arm is when this axle moves up, it's gonna hit my tie rod. And I only have about, I would only call that 2.5, 3 inches maybe clearance before it hits. Now, I'm kind of hoping that, because this axle is gonna swing backwards a little bit as it flexes, I'm hoping it'll clearance, but I don't think it's gonna swing that far back in that short amount of time. So I have a feeling we're gonna end up having to lose our high steer, and we're just gonna have to run a regular tie rod across the front of the axle. And that kind of bums me out, because having a high steer was kind of a thing that I really wanted on this truck, because I don't know, I just think it's so cool when, you know, you move the tie rods up above the springs and you don't see anything in front of the axle, and it kind of leaves the axle just like sitting there out in the middle of nowhere. You know, it looks super clean and like, I don't know, just simple. So it's kind of a bummer if we lose the high steer and have to put the tie rod back in front of the axle, but it's not the end of the world, and it's no big deal really, besides the fact that I have to buy a new tie rod, but but it sucks that that was just part of my vision that I can't do. One thing I forgot to mention, the reason that this high steer is actually going to contact that tie rod is when I have these springs custom made, I actually have the axle moved an inch forward, and that's why now we lost our clearance there. I think I had read somewhere where they said it clears if you're a little forward like that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to clear. Maybe if you had a taller lift, the axle would swing back further and clear it, or your axle wouldn't go up that high maybe, but it's not gonna work for us, I don't think, so I'm holding off until I buy a new tie rod. But I think it's because I moved that axle 1 inch forward. And since we're here, the reason I moved this axle 1 inch forward is because with the shackle in the rear, these axles will swing back when the suspension compresses. So it kind of goes like this. And when it does that, you start running into clearance issues up here at the cab. Sometimes you can't clearance it enough before you're hitting, you know, actual firewall type stuff. Plus, one thing that I always notice when these trucks flex out is that rear wheel is always jammed up into the back of the fender, and it kind of looks a little goofy to me. So that's where I was kind of moving it an inch forward, just to try and keep everything looking good and clearance issues. And I think that was kind of a good idea to go with, but we're gonna have to actually start cycling things and see how things work to really see how this is gonna turn out. And here we are the next day. Just been dinking away all weekend. I got oil in this rear diff. I got oil in the front diff. I did that stuff. I didn't get any video of it because it's not really exciting stuff. So it's kind of cool though. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice to just be doing all this little stuff, you know, and not having to worry about the cameras and different things like that. Just working on little things and getting stuff accomplished that needs to get done, you know. I even did things like, I had like a crescent wrench, an old crescent wrench that didn't work very good at all, you know. It was so stiff and whatnot. So, you know, soak it in brake clean and then soak it in WD-40 and make it work good again. It's kind of nice to, you know, just take some time out of your day to clean up your tools and make things work again like that. So it's kind of cool. It's been kind of nice, you know, but it's all things that we just got to get done. And I did notice that the company that I bought the tires from finally took my money, so that means I can start ordering other stuff now too. There's a lot involved in getting these tires going. So I need to order things like just tire lube. You know, I've never had to buy tire lube before. I've used a ton of it because I've worked in a lot of tire shops and stuff. So I understand how tires get mounted to wheels and all that type of stuff. I used to actually really love doing that. And actually, in the future, it's always been part of my plan is I actually want to get a set of tire machines. I want to get a mounter and I want to get a balancer. They're pretty expensive though. They're really expensive to be honest, unless I can find a good used set and they're a little less expensive. It's always been kind of my plan, and I've always kind of left areas in my shop or in my plans to add a tire and a balancer, because I don't know, for something about tires, mounting and balancing tires, I've always really liked. And the last few times, like getting tires put on the Ram the last couple times, I've gone through a couple sets on that, getting tires put on the Corvette, the tire shops are so expensive now. I can't believe how much they charge just one wheel and tire now, and you got to get a whole set of 4, plus the work quality that they're doing is just straight garbage. I'm not gonna lie, I have not been absolutely 100% satisfied with the set of wheels and tires that I've gotten mounted and balanced, you know, in the last 10 years now. And it's bugging the hell out of me. So I want to get my own set of tire machines so that I can do it myself. And then, hey, maybe we can kind of branch off and do some people stuff on the side type of stuff too. You know, you never know, but I've got plans for that a little further in the future, but it's always on my mind. But anyways, back to these tires. I'm gonna be able to mount these myself because these are beadlocks. You don't need a machine to actually mount these up, so that's kind of cool. But I do need to get some supplies. I gotta get the tire lube and stuff like that. And then for balancing these things, I'm not gonna do a traditional lead weight balancing. I'm actually gonna do airsoft pellets or airsoft BBs, however you wanna say. You put a certain amount in there, inside the tire, and they'll just be floating around inside there, and then they'll kind of find their happy place and they'll balance the tire out. Now, it's not the most perfect way to balance a tire, but when you get into these really big off-road tires, it's actually a really good option. The lead weights don't work as well because they're so far down inside the wheel and your tire is way out here. Plus the airsoft pellets will actually they move around and they balance where it needs to be balanced. But it's not like an instantaneous balance. It might take a mile or more for them to kind of position themselves inside the tire where they need to be for your tire shakes to go away. But I don't plan on driving this thing on the freeway a lot. I would like to be able to drive to, trailheads and different things like that to get off-road, but this thing will be trailered most of the time, I think. But we're gonna give airsoft pellets a try and see how it balances. A lot of people have really good luck with them. There's been a few people that don't have any luck with them, so there's different options. So when it comes to these tires, we're gonna do everything ourselves. We're gonna be able to do it in this garage. We're gonna mount them, we're gonna be able to balance them, we're gonna do everything right here, and I'll be able to show you how to do it, but you're gonna have to stick around till next week to see that. So that's all we got going on this week. I really appreciate you guys sticking through, especially when it comes to these type of videos. Like, comment, and subscribe if you can, and we just gotta keep plugging away at this thing. We got more exciting things to come in the future. Talk to you next week.